The creature is woven from its pure nightmare. Rearing up out of the pool, the fanged head towards 20 feet above us. It resembles nothing so much as some kind of giant centipede crossed with a sea monster. Its segmented sections of part of its body protected by a shiny scarapace. Dozens of squirming legs protrude from its sides, each tipped with several blades. Near the base of its neck, two enormous tentacles, like those of a giant squid, flail about. The fanged head about the size of a small car. Despite this, its open mouth seemingly wrong, too wide, too many shark-like teeth. Its multi-faceted eyes just stare at us with keen intelligence and that almost inhuman malevolence. Time stops as I make observations in the fleeting instant before hell erupts around me. Sergeant Brown acts instantly, raising his carbine to his shoulder, dropping to a knee with one smooth motion, peppering with the creature's face and neck with the sharp, controlled bursts. Smitty put a 203 grenade down at the ugly face's throat. Cortinus, you have 2 seconds to get the saw rocking. Barnes and Cook, alternate your fire and aim for the eyes. The squad leader's calm controls does the trick. The monster roars again as it's enveloped is stormed by the gunfire that goes on for the better part of the 30 seconds. At some point, I realize I have gotten down beside the Sergeant Brown and added my own instrument to the deadly symphony. And I'm mindless of the sharp hisses passing close by as the cave is filled with a deadly rocket from the solid stone walls. Dust from hundreds of impacts fill the air through my night vision, and at best with a lost haze of green powder. At last the weapons run dry, and the firing stops. I dive behind a 2-foot-high rock to my right, and try to get some kind of cover. Slapping a fresh magazine into my rifle, around me I heard the men of the 2nd Squad quickly, professionally, begin to reload their expanded weapons. They are nowhere near fast enough. To my left, Cortines is struggling to load the drum into his saw. Out from the haze of the creature's tentacles, whip out too quickly to follow. One slaps of the machine gun out of his hand, while the other one envelops its head around its neck. His yell is muffled as he briefly struggles to remove the hideous limb from his face, before the second tentacle wraps around his waist and yanks him out of sight into the cloud. Now accompanied by wet dripping sounds, Cortine's screams grow a higher pitch until they're abruptly cut off. I could see Sergeant Brown and Barnes a few feet away to my right from where they have taken cover, in a similar position to my own. Barnes jumps to his feet and sprints forward towards the machine gun lying on the cavern floor. Brown tries to grab him by the back of his body, the armor, but misses. Barnes, don't... Damn it! Smitty, get another grenade ready. That thing is still out there. Cook, help me cover that idiot. Barnes slides up to the saw, like a runner stealing for a second, and ratchets the new belt into the weapon. Barnes, get your ass back here and cover now, screams Sergeant Brown. Roger, I'm... Without warning, the creature roars out of the cloud, its mawing snapping shut around Barnes' head and shoulders, as it lifts him bloodily into the air. Barnes squeezes the trigger spastically, with Barnes being jerked around like a rat's being caught in a terrier. A saw in his hand split the death rate of 200 bullets in a minute. Try to make myself as small as possible behind my rock. Fatal hisses and pops sounding all around me. Sergeant Brown's grunts and a wayward round rat catches him in the lower leg. Specialist Smith raised into a knee, fire his grenade, drops without a sound, and a spray of blood. From where I lay sprawled, I could see his unmoving form, a dark pool slowly recollecting around his head. The firing finally stops. Looking up, I could see the creature as it's tipped its head back and using his tentacles to push Barnes' body down to its gullet. Body armor and all, its neck still convulsing, like a snake swallowing its prey. I realized that we needed to get out of here, and fast. I pumped on adrenaline. My own body armor feels like almost weightless. I roll from behind my rock, hop to my feet, and take 2 steps before diving down to the next Sergeant Brown. He's managed to get his combat tourniquet around his leg, but from the blood still pulsing out of the wound, it's obviously not tight enough. We're tightening this tourniquet, and then we're gone, Sergeant. Damn it, sir. Leave me. Get Cook out of here. I'm just gonna slow you up with this leg. Not a chance, soldier. Now try and hold still. This is gonna hurt like hell. I grip the 2 ends of the windlass and twists. I hear Brown's breath catch in his throat. Beside me, and his hand gripping his arm contracts hard enough to leave bruises. But to his credit, he did not scream. When I can't twist anymore, I secure the windlass and throw his arm over my shoulder. Glancing up at the creature, that is all is left of Barnes from his knees down. Alright, back up to the tunnel before the ugly notice us. Cook, you've got the rear security? Let's move. We stagger to our feet, and it's been hobbling back the way we came, away from the horrors of the cavern. Cook trails in a short way behind us, throws furtive glances over his shoulder. Sergeant Brown tries to help as much as possible, but is severely hampered by his wounded leg, and our progress is slow. Far too slow. We've made it out, perhaps 200 yards, when the creature lets out a howl, and I hear the unmistakable sounds of its enormous mass exiting out of the cavern pool. We stumble to the fist of the tunnel intersections, and my stomach drops when I realize the path is unmarked. Free openings beacon the far side of the intersection. I set Sergeant Brown to the ground as easily as I can. I frantically search for any sign of previous passage that could suggest that we take, but I find none. Shit. Cook, this is a terrible plan, but I've got no better ideas. We have to find Sergeant Troy and make sure somebody gets out of there alive so we can alert higher about this thing. You got to take the left tunnel. Sergeant Brown and I will take the middle. That gives us 2 free chances of picking the right one. If you find the right platoon sergeant, priority is making it out to get reinforcements. Then worry about coming back for us. Got it? Roger, sir. I won't let you down. Okay, get going fast, but be careful and quiet. Cook takes off down to the left fork and a jog. I took over the wounded charge. Looks like it's just you and me, Sergeant Brown. Let us make an ugly work for the rest of his dinner. I throw his arm over my shoulder, and then we again stagger to our feet. Brown grimaces as we begin to stumble up in the middle path. Unfortunately, sir, I don't think he's going to have to work all that hard. The man is shaking. Now in his eternal rush of adrenaline has worn off. It's only a matter of time before shock sets in. If I don't get Sergeant Brown out of here quickly, he's going to be dead whatever the monster finds us or not. We haven't gone far when I heard a strange rolling sound, like far-off thunder, issuing from the back way we came. It only came to be the noise of the creature's passage. I set Sergeant Brown down behind a slight outcropping of the wall and drop to the knee when the sound gets closer. For all the good it will do, I raise my weapon and wait with my finger poised at the trigger. My hands are shaking, and I realize how terrified I am. The noise grows until it seems like the thing must be right on top of us. Every moment I expect it's the grotesque maw to appear down the tunnel, ready to devour us whole, like Barnes. Abruptly the sound begins to diminish, and the monster seems to have chosen the fork to pursue us. I struggled to get Sergeant Brown back on his feet again, and we continue our slow crawl up the passageway. Each time it gets harder for him to get up, and each time he's able to help me stagger along the little bit less. After perhaps 2 minutes, I hear the unmistakable sound of gunfire issue a few sporadic reports before going silent. The thing must have found Cook. It will surely be coming for us next. As the last of the echoes from gunshots die away, Sergeant Brown's wounded leg buckles and he falls, dragging me to the ground with him. I rest for a brief moment before fighting to my knees and attempting to stand, but I stumble. Both of us falling to the ground again, groaning. Brown struggles to a sitting position, his back against the wall of the tunnel. It's no good, sir. Round must have hit a damn artery. Lucky I made it this far. Well, we've got a lot farther to get you, Sergeant, so we better be going. He shakes his head. No, sir. I reckon that's not going to happen. We both know I'm not making it out of this cave alive either anyway. And Troy told me about the deal that he was going to make with you before coming here, and made the agree to back him up on it. He grips my arm. We need you to get out of here, sir. It's like you told Cook. This thing needs a killing at all costs, and that's more important than you. Me or anyone else. You're the only one who has seen this thing, that even has a shot at making, and you are sure as hell the only one that has any kind of chance of convincing Higher that is real. I went to the commander with this story, and he'd have the MP's chart off for sampling the local drug market. His grimaces. So I've got my rifle and some grenades. I'll keep them off of you as long as I can. See if I can get that son of a bitch of that mother of indigestion. But you've got to make it out here, sir. For Barnes and Cook. For Smitty and Cortines. For the local kids. Someone needs to know, and we need to stop this godforsaken thing. He lets go of my arm, and then sinks back into the wall for a moment before sitting up, and beginning to prepare his weapons. Lining up his grenades, and taking out a handful of parachute cord from his pocket. He starts to jury-rig them, and so the tug will pull the safety pins from all 5 grenades. I stand unable to speak, knowing that the man has every right is feeling, but like I needed to change that simple fact. There has to be some way I can change it. Not looking at me, my squad leader ties knots and continues to talk. A part of me dimly registers that rumbling sound has started again, and is getting slowly but steadily louder. And one other thing, for me. It's a letter for the side pouch in my rucksack. It's from my ex-wife and kids. Just, if you get out, would you make sure they get it? And don't tell them about what happened. Just that I was making and thinking about for them, and that I love them. Even that crazy woman. Tell her I should have tried harder. He pauses for a moment before he looks up. Please. My voice hitches. Yeah, absolutely, Sergeant. He returns to his preparations. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure serving you, sir. Now, no intent to disrespect, but get the hell out of here. I stand there for a moment, unable to move or speak, only able to look at my friend quietly, preparing himself for death. Even before I could change my mind, I could truly think about what leaving one of my men says about me as a leader, and as a soldier, and as a man. I turn and begin making my way up the tunnel, the rumbling, echoing sound making my head pound in time to a reacting pulse. All too soon, the explosions of rocks and tunnel behind me. The creature's roar of rage is so loud, it threatens to shatter my eardrums. I ran.